right, so this is a really cool one for all you adrenaline junkies out there. Pascal brought us 2 skydiving helmets, which is basically something we've never done here at the shop. So I was super excited when he brought them in. So the first thing we had to do was actually take them all apart. Visor had to come off, the clips had to come off, all the internal padding had to come off, clips, screws, pretty much everything. The only thing that you want left is basically what we're going to be painting. Now that everything's basically taken apart, there's nothing else left on the helmet. Basically had to sand down the plastic itself to give the primer something to stick to. So right now I am taping off basically the inside of the helmet. I'm doing it's kind of like a dual step. So because we're doing hydrographics on these, you basically want to mask off this whole front section so that when the film goes on, it's one continuous piece. Not, you know, if you put the front in, you basically lose all this material and then it warps the rest of it. So basically you have to make this one seamless shape basically. So we're going to tape off all the holes, all the pinholes. We're going to tape off the whatever this part is. The next process, what you do is you use a plastic cleaner. What the plastic cleaner does is it's basically pure alcohol, so it helps draw out all the oils that are left in the plastic from the molding process. Once the helmet was completely clean, I used a plastic adhesion promoter. And basically what that does is it just helps the primer stick to the raw plastic. Plastic cleaner's done, the adhesion promoter's done. Now we're going to do a primer sealer. The cool thing about this primer is that it lays down really, really smooth, which is what we want because the helmet's kind of, well, obviously a dome shape. We want the finished product to be as smooth and as uniform as possible. Cool, so now that the helmets are primed, they've cured overnight, I'm gonna sand them down and get them ready for paint. We're gonna do base coat paint, so one is gonna go red and one is gonna go white. now the fun part. Now we get to dip them. So on the red one, we're gonna do a skull pattern. Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. We've done this one before, it's really cool, so you guys get to see it. Right now I'm just getting rid of all the air bubbles. When you're doing hydrographics, air bubbles is your enemy because it distorts the film. You basically want to make sure there's no air bubbles on the surface. No, okay. Yeah, maybe. It's easier. Dividers are basically to keep the film from expanding too much. When you hit the activator, basically it's dissolving the film itself. So if you don't have them there, it'll basically just dissolve infinitely. So this is basically to keep the film in one shape and keeps the film from distorting. Right now I'm gonna spray the activator, which dissolves the film. A lot of people think that it's just a big sticker that you actually put on whatever product that you bring in. It's actually more of a paint process than a sticker process. The films that we get basically come in large rolls, kind of like saran wrap. On the film itself is your ink, which is your pattern. In this case, we're doing a skull pattern and a flame pattern. The film itself is basically just a carrier for the ink so that when you put it down on top of the water, it doesn't distort and it keeps the pattern, in line. As you're putting the part into the water, the ink is then actually transferred into the paint itself. It doesn't actually just sit on top of the paint, it actually goes into the paint. So after you do the hydrographics, you're kind of left with a film, which is basically excess activator and the reduced film that's left on it. So right now I'm basically rinsing off all the excess so that all you're left with is basically fresh paint and the ink itself. So right now I am doing some airbrush touch-ups just on the flames themselves. Sometimes you get little air pockets in the film itself and then you're left with basically dots. This is the stuff that a lot of shops don't show you. But it happens to everybody, no matter how good you are. We're just man enough to admit it. Now that everything's dipped, cured, we're gonna clear coat it. You guys have seen that a bunch of times already.
basically now that it's all done, got it back to him, and yeah, now you guys see the fun part. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I hope you guys really liked it. We've got a lot of cool stuff coming up. Please subscribe if you love our stuff. If you have questions, suggestions, anything is definitely welcome for sure.
Should we tell them about the thing?
Tell them about the thing. So we have a kind of a big deal. Sketches Inc. is getting our own brand of beer.